I do not want to go back to the hell of being a young viral man, constantly being tormented by these rules that to this day don't make a lot of sense to me sometimes.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. Seems like it's, or maybe concupiscence is just clouding everything, and I'm not even aware. I'm in such a miserable state. Welcome back, everyone. Craig and Jonah. How are you today, Jonah?
Doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Just been staying up late watching playoff baseball.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I've been, my team has been out of it for a long, long time. And so I like baseball. I like October baseball.
I like October baseball. It's I don't like the regular season, but
It's such a long
playoff
season.
baseball is just awesome.
Yeah.
The intensity.
Yeah. And there was some pretty good series. Well, the Brewers and Cubs series was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And who was it? The Seattle and
Detroit.
That series was really good.
Mm-hmm.
That last game.
Yeah.
Was really
amazing.
good too. Yeah, and Seattle's taking it to Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little surprising.
Yeah. Yeah, I was rooting for the Yankees, but they're out of it.
You're rooting for the Yankees.
Yeah. I don't know. When my grandpa got cancer, he was a huge Yankees fan, but it was just something more for us to talk about. And so I kind of picked up watching the Yankees.
Man.
That was like, a long time ago.
The stuff you find out about people after so long. I try not to hold it against you too much.
I hate the Dodgers, but I like the Yankees.
I think you're morally required to hate both of them. I think that's part of the catechism somewhere.
Yeah.
So.
No.
But
yeah, I just love the intensity though of playoff baseball. Man, just I don't know. The pitcher versus the batter and the fans are wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been catching bits and pieces of it, but I don't know, I'm just so busy with life that let's get on to, because this is the
championship series.
Yes,
yeah.
the next is the World Series. So both teams are up 2-0, right?
They are.
So that's
kind of a bummer.
Yeah, as someone without a horse in the race, I'd like to see. I want to see a good full, because these would be 7-game series, right? So
yeah.
Who knows? Anything could happen.
Yep, it could.
Doubtful it'll be a 4-game sweep, but who knows?
Yeah.
All right. What else? That's keeping up.
Just I don't know. Been, watching baseball and Dolores and I things are going great.
Flames of love are still burning hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It's going well.
Yeah.
Nothing to complain about.
Well, this isn't much of a podcast that we don't have anything to complain about.
You must have something.
I've had this. I don't know if it's age or whatever.
All right.
And this may be just...
They make pills for that.
This may be just a temporary thing, but I've legitimately never felt less attached to the marital act and all that as I do now. I mean, I still care about it. I still look forward to it. But I honestly, Jonah 2.0 would be so proud of me. I don't really spend all that time thinking about it. You're skeptical.
I am skeptical of that, but I don't know what you mean. Like, what kind of time frame are we talking here where you don't even think about it?
Well, last month.
For a month, you didn't think about it?
Well,
bull crap.
In between, I guess. Let's say in between.
Okay.
We had even. So
during the 2 weeks where you couldn't do anything because of NFP, didn't even think about it.
I can now go solidly, let's say, a week to 10 days before I really, not that I don't have like biological urges, if you will, but in terms of like really being hot and distressed by it, it takes a while now.
A week to 10 days.
Yeah.
Well, that is something. Well,
Now, I'm not claiming to be perfect in all respects, but at least to
more of
that
a master of your domain than before.
But in terms of like, I don't know, just like I said, not being hot and bothered and distracted, it has gotten better. And like I said, I don't know if that's age. There's been a lot going on in my life. I've been working really hard at some things and a certain level of stress too and whatever. But I don't know. I mean, part of it, like, I guess I'm at that phase of my life where I feel like kind of that old man syndrome kind of slipping in. And I feel like the vitality of my youth may be starting to go away. And there's something sad about that. But as a Catholic, there's something very liberating about that.
Oh, gosh. Got to lean in and embrace that.
Yeah, that's right. This is the greatest thing ever happened to me.
Well, I don't know what to say about that. I don't know. Because,
Yeah, this could be a very temporary thing.
Yeah, I mean, the stress, or just being busy sometimes. And that's something we've dealt with. During the summer, it's just wild. And now, we're busy with, things going on with school and sports. And, but yeah.
Yeah.
Not quite ready to let it all go by the wayside. But
no, I mean, it's, for us at this season of our life, if we didn't have to mess with NFP and all that, if we were able to enjoy each other, let's say every 5 to 7 days, we would be doing pretty well.
Yeah.
It'd be a little tough for me. Might be a little too much for her. Like her, I think every 10 to 14 days is that sweet spot. And that's even now, even at my aged state.
Your advanced age.
Yeah, it's still, that's a bit much. And that's always been the struggle with NFP is it, despite the advertisements, it's not a few days. It's not even a week. It is
weeks.
Yeah. I think 10 days minimum for people trying to kind of like follow the rules, 10 to 14 days. And that in consecutive days, whatever, I think is really tough. Mm-hmm. But it's getting easier, I guess, less terrible.
Yeah.
And I would say, and I don't know if this is how this all fits in together, but I think we've just been doing really good as a couple. Mm-hmm. She's, I would say, just definitely happier. Now that part of that is, this is the longest stretch we've gone without being pregnant or having a new baby around. Our youngest is 3 and still kind of a terror at night, but that's our main challenge. We're not doing that and having my wife up, every few hours nursing a new baby and stuff like that. So I think that's helped a lot. Being a full-time mom is a really, really hard time job, especially with the youngsters, and we've always had that around. Mm-hmm. And that definitely impacted our life, our personal, intimate life together. And so,
same with us.
Yeah. So
we don't have half the kids you do. So
yeah, and it didn't matter. Like it was the same whether we had 4 or 5 kids when they're all young kids versus 9.
Yeah. I think like right now our youngest is 4, and that's things are getting easier.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a big difference when
it does.
When mom, especially mom, doesn't have to be constantly thinking about what are they doing.
Are they eating something they shouldn't be? Or being somewhere they shouldn't be?
Yep.
Crawling on stuff they shouldn't be on.
Exactly. Yep. So that I think, the Catholic stuff, is challenging for anyone. But I think you when you do that within the context of couples having larger than normal families, that's really, really hard.
Yeah,
it's really hard just from a pure marriage dynamic situation, just the interpersonal stuff, not even factoring in all the moral rules and the challenges that presents. But then when you add that stuff in, and just like it is it is a lot. It is a lot to try to be both, open to life, really good parents, just providing for their basic human needs and trying to like raise them in the faith, and also trying to be good Catholics yourself is a really, really tall order that I think sometimes gets just sort of taken for granted by those that don't live that life.
Yeah.
But so we're, barring some slip up on our end, we're kind of transitioning to a little different season in our life, and it's a little sad that I'm, I guess aging out my like it would have been nice to enjoy that vigorous part of life when you had some freedom to do so, but whatever.
Maybe you still can. Yeah. It ain't over yet. Maybe you're just tired, or
writing my intimate obituary.
You are, man.
But I'll tell you, I do not want to go back to the hell of being a young viral man, constantly being tormented by these rules that to this day don't make a lot of sense to me sometimes.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. Age seems like it's, or maybe concupiscence is just clouding everything, and I'm not even aware I'm in such a miserable state. I don't know, but I've got, it feels like more peace in my life, and so we'll see.
That's good.
Yeah. So. Yeah, we'll probably be wrapping up the podcast here. There'll be nothing more to talk about.
Yeah.
So, what else you got going on? Anything?
I don't know. What was it? I did have something. I was going to say, today's a big day. Got the confirmation. And
that's right.
Yeah, so I'm the confirmation sponsor for,
Yeah, Jonah's confirmation sponsor for one of my children.
And yeah, so for his confirmation present, I did get him the Diary of Divine Mercy. So, yeah.
Are we allowed to read that as Catholics?
I did.
Oh, golly. So, spreading heresies. all that mercy stuff.
All that mercy stuff, yeah. Yep.
We don't want him thinking God isn't a vengeful, spiteful God all the time. What are you talking about?
Yep.
Awesome.
But yeah, so.
He'll probably, of all my kids, he'd probably want to actually read it.
I was going to tell him to read it when he's like 30. I don't know if you'd really appreciate it when you're a teenager, but when you're 30,
I was a weird teenager. I was reading St. Alphonsus Liguori as a teenager. And look at me now.
You were a weird teenager. My God.
Look at the trajectory it sent me on. So maybe it's best to wait on that stuff. I as a teenager, I was walking through the cemetery with rocks in my shoes, praying the rosary for all the dead people, and then going back and reading St. Alphonsus Liguori.
And that's no exaggeration.
And not exaggeration at all.
Man, good for you. Like,
I don't think so. I don't think that was healthy or good.
Well, speaking of my teenage years, I just found a Dr. Dre CD, and I was listening to that, and boy, just it's all filthy. But the thing that disturbed me the most was when he talked about and that's just, I don't know, it's funny. It's just filthy, absolutely filthy. But he was talking about how he's riding through the streets like with his handgun with the safety off, and I was thinking, man, is that stupid? Like that was the thing that disturbed me the most out of all the filthy lyrics. Yeah, I'm a safety guy now.
Yeah.
Well, I guess this is not a pun, but yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yes, my teenage days were spent differently than yours. But.
Yeah. And here we are. We ended up in the same spot anyway.
Yeah, we did.
It's interesting because as I was kind of every week when there's a few podcasts I listen to or check out. I usually check out Ellen's podcast, or at least see there wasn't anything interesting to our show on that. I usually check out Christopher West. This week I didn't have time to read it, but I was going through Ellen's social media feed. That's the Instagram Catholic Circle. That's kind of where they all, those Catholic wives, all kind of live, is over on Instagram.
You can tear each other down and tell each other they're not doing well enough.
Tear down the guys maybe a little bit.
Okay.
And it and I think compared to some of the alternatives, I think Ellen does some great stuff. Okay. I think, to the extent that they understand the importance of the intimate, the enjoyment, the pleasure, she's very much about helping women. I don't know how much she cares about helping men, but at least helping Catholic women enjoy intimacy to the fullest extent possible, albeit within the rules, right? All the TOB rules, right? They wouldn't meet the John Farrell standard, but they meet the TOB standard, right?
Yeah.
But she was going through, and she was talking about how one of the things that she had to do and evolve as a Catholic woman was to get over a lot of the, I think she describes them as myths or lies of the purity culture that's even present in the Catholic faith. That even pleasure within marriage is bad, or like enjoying too much foreplay and all that is bad. And she's the opposite. She's like, as long as it ends the right way, have at it, basically, right? Which, fine, great. But so she was talking about how purity culture, and I think that's one of those terms that kind of gets thrown around. I don't know if anyone really knows what that means. Maybe it means different things to different people. I think purity culture historically is sort of gets attributed to more of the non-Catholic evangelical side of things. But I think some of that is present in the Catholic circles. And she was reacting to that and how that purity culture can lead Catholic women, for example, to be afraid of enjoying sexual pleasure in marriage, which is true, I think. Although I haven't actually seen that. I don't know that I saw so much of that, but at least in her growing up, that was something that she struggled with. But I got to thinking, like it or not, most of what we believe as Catholics is sort of a form of purity culture, right?
Well, that's fair.
I mean, especially let's set aside the birth control issue, because I think that is sort of it, but I think that has its own. I think there's a different lineage that leads to that teaching, but all the other stuff, whether it's, let's say, solo, other acts, different types of acts, even within marriage. All that just kind of...
That is a purity culture.
It's kind of an ancient purity culture. Kind of masked in philosophy and theology and stuff like that.
I don't know if it's ancient, because it wasn't in Leviticus.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking, like from like Augustine on, like the early church fathers on, right? But it really, I kind of consider that a kind of a form of Catholic purity culture. Like,
it's true.
Augustine, like, it was you should only engage in the marital act to procreate, and if you should only enjoy the minimal amount of pleasure required to complete the act, and if you enjoy more and above, that's kind of a venial sin. That's a purity. That, to me, that is a type of purity culture, because it's not really based in reality so much, and I don't think I don't think it's scripture at all. And the Lord certainly didn't talk about that, even based on my Catholic understanding of the scripture, but that all just kind of emanated out of people's sensibilities, right? And so I just think it's interesting where she talks, like, her whole thing is trying to, like, liberate women, if you will, Catholic women, from that purity culture stuff, but at the same time they hold on to most of it.
Yeah.
Right. Can't be more than, I don't know if it's 19 minutes or an hour now, before, after. But so much of this stuff, let's say, I think even the contraception issue falls into that broad category, because I don't think there's anything scriptural about it. It has developed since then. But especially as it pertains to, like, what married Catholic men and women can and can't do within the context of their intimate relationship, most of that is a form of purity culture that has sort of been solidified through some sort of philosophical structure or theological structure or papal writings and things like that. Maybe that's legitimate, but I think it gets a free pass. Like they don't challenge that stuff, right? And it's just assumed. Well, you have to believe that, and maybe we do, but the foundation for those ideas is, I don't know, is feels like purity culture to me.
No, I think you're right.
So we had someone, I think a new subscriber, send me an email within the last couple of weeks. Had apparently found one of our episodes from about a year ago discussing other acts. I don't know if they said which video it was, but basically where we had suggested or maybe stated outright that the church has not, unlike things like contraception, the church hasn't clearly and unequivocally set a rule on other acts. There is sort of that gray area. I still think that's true. And this person who appreciated the show but pointed to some of these moral treatises from back in the 1800s that clearly rule it out. And I don't think I've ever claimed that there aren't writings that would say no to that, but I guess is it an authoritative type stuff, and even the Catechism of the Catholic Church, I think most people say isn't infallible, but that is pretty. That's pretty. That's pretty formalized rules there, right?
And I just think it's complicated. It's not so much that it hasn't been just talked about at all. It's just a complicated situation as far as comparing it to solo activity versus, the full act. And there's a lot of in between there.
Yeah, even this notion that the marital act must end a certain way is sort of, I don't think that's really stated that way in any concrete terms in any, what I would say, quasi-infallible level document, whether it's the catechism or a papal document, right? I mean, it's sort of maybe implicit, and I would say is certainly articulated in some of the moral manuals of old. I don't think we really use those anymore, but I think to the extent that it's at best in some sort of a moral manual that may or may not even be effective anymore or binding. I don't even know if they were binding, but and I don't even know if I think they sent me a link to it, but how's an average, like, are we expecting an average Catholic to like
dig up documents,
stuff from the 1800s that may not even be in English or your language? And, that I think is one of the real struggles as Catholics. And I think it's one of those things where, especially for either reverts or converts, there's a bit of ignorance is bliss period where they come in and like, oh, hey, the catechism, I can handle that. I can do that. And then they're like, oh no, there's a lot more. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's an issue where depending on which priest you talk to, you get a different answer.
Correct.
So
yeah. And I think it varies a lot by culture, right? But I think a lot of the stuff that we concern ourselves with, including ourselves, is sort of a modern phenomenon. Like with the internet now, like you can literally find an archive of some, esoteric document from the 1700s, right? And okay, all right, now am I now morally bound to incorporate that? You think an average peasant farmer Catholic family in the late 1800s ever thought about that stuff or worried about that? Now, maybe back then everything was explained through word of mouth, and they had more priests, and I don't know, but
I don't know.
They're just trying to like survive the winter, right? And have their infants survive a year, right?
Yeah,
like it's
true.
And try to live longer than 35 years old. So I just think a lot of this stuff is sort of the product of being just in our current comfortable, affluent world where we have access to a lot of information. We have more time on our hands than we used to, and we can just concern ourselves with stuff that I think a lot of the world still doesn't really concern itself with that much, and I think that is really much a reflection of kind of modern Western Catholicism, whether it's especially traditional Catholicism, and that's where I think this stuff is in the gray area. I mean, I think
there's times I can see it as a total gray area where it depends on the situation and where the couple is at and their marriage and
From my standpoint, let's just take the Catechism of the Catholic Church, and I understand traditionalists are not necessarily even going to accept that, but which I'm like, okay, well, if you take the Catechism of the Catholic Church out, there's a lot less stuff that is clearly, fleshed out in that way. You really are starting to go into these secondary and sets of resources. But let's just take the Catechism of the Catholic Church for a second. You have, I don't think you can get around the fact that it clearly forbids contraception. Now, how you feel about that is a different matter, but I don't think you could read the Catechism of the Catholic Church and not come away with clear understanding that contraception is wrong, always wrong, right? You have let's say, I wouldn't say it's clear, but you have a direct passage on masturbation. So you have 2352. Now there is some, I think there's some
gray area
there's ambiguity there, but to the extent that it's a topic, it is clearly and directly addressed, if you will, in the Catechism. We have that. So I think I consider those the bookends, right? I don't think the Catechism of the Catholic Church directly forbids other acts, or at least deals with other acts. And for those that don't know what we're talking about sexual acts between husband and wife that are not purely solo and also don't necessarily involve the marital act, or let's say the completion of the marital act. And maybe there's a whole range of what those things could be, but that's what we mean by other acts. And I don't think there certainly isn't a catechism section that directly deals with that. Some would say, well, if you apply 2352 broadly, you get it there. Okay, fine. I agree. If you apply a very broad standard to 2352, maybe that covers that. But I think there's lots of reasons to think that's not necessarily a proper reading of 2352, right? And so that's why I say it still continues to be kind of a gray area, and maybe that's the best we could hope for.
Yeah.
Maybe it's best for everyone involved.
Yep.
That it's a gray area.
Although there's a lot of suffering that goes on.
Well, yeah.
Because of that gray area.
Yeah. I mean, I think for couples that enter into that, it involves sort of an exercise of conscience, if you will, that
a leap of faith that it's going to be okay.
Yeah, you're never really probably settled, right? You may or may not continue to take that up in confession. You may get different answers about that in confession, depending on the priest you go to. So it is a gray area that I think a lot of Catholics, especially if you're not using contraception, eventually find yourself considering.
Yeah,
and and so that's kind of the area we're talking about there, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what the solution is to that, and maybe just leaving things as it is and not asking Pope Leo or someone else to come in and weigh on it officially. I mean, it would be, in some sense, it would be nice to have a clear standard, especially if it's, I would argue, if it's more of a liberalized standard, because I think that would make marriages better.
It would.
And for couples to be able to do that and to do it without
fear,
moral concern, right? Yeah. I think that of all the things that the buttons the church or the popes could possibly push, I think that would be maybe the most important thing they could do. But I also think it would be worse for marriage if they ruled on that and said thumbs down.
But that's how people consider it in a lot of ways.
I think a lot of people treat it that way anyway, and so they're already doing what they're doing or following their conscience or whatever. But I think it would be, to the extent that you're, let's say, arguably following your conscience on a gray area is probably a little easier than following your, following your conscience on something that is, let's say, more black and white, laid out in a quasi-authoritative fashion, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's why I think it is the. I mean, I think there are. I've read the documents leading up to Humanae Vitae. I can't remember the name of the book. I think there was lots of valid reasons for the Pope to seriously consider coming out with a different outcome in Humanae Vitae. But it is what it is, and that's I think it would be extraordinarily unlikely that we'll see a Pope that will reverse course on that. And if we do, it'll be an absolute rupture in the church. The traditionalists they will go off and have a crusade over contraception, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they should.
Well, and contraception is different than other acts.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But that I think that ship has sort of sailed.
Yeah.
And now you're like, okay, so what do we do with now? Okay. And what, so the other can't use that. You got 2352. How do you navigate in between that? And I don't care if you're a reasonably fertile couple at some point in your marriage, you are probably going to confront this topic
head on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And for us, like, it only became difficult once we had miscarriages, and it was really difficult.
Yeah.
Hard on my wife, physically, and so. Yeah. And then then should you just totally abstain, and that was really difficult.
Well, right. Well, and I will say, if you're not confronting it as a couple, let's say you're a Catholic wife, and this isn't something that's come on the radar. There's a really good chance that your husband
is taking matters in his own hands.
I gotta share. So I gotta tell a story, because I was actually listening to part of Ellen's podcast this week, which is about the topic of cleanup afterwards.
That's what she's talking about?
Yeah.
All right.
And I laughed. I had to laugh because
how could you have a whole podcast on that?
Apparently, inquiring minds want to know.
All right.
So so this. I'll offer this statement without commentary, but I think I know your reaction. But so one of the things the ladies were talking about was the level of cleanup after the marital act for different people is different things, and it can depend on what they said, whether your husband has copious amounts of whatever,
sure.
Right?
Right.
And that's normal. And I was thinking, I suspect for those that have, I suspect the volume of stuff that the husband is bringing to the table probably depends on what he's doing in between.
Yeah.
Probably unknown to the ladies.
That's a really fair point. Yeah. You should bring that up to her attention.
I'm quasi banned from that.
Because you know that she would deny that.
Yeah, but I was like, I'll tell you why certain men have copious amounts and certain men don't. I think it just went right over their heads.
Boy, that's a lot of truth there. Yeah, that's that's pretty funny. So
anyway, I can't really. The only place that they really engage with people is on Instagram, and I'm not going to engage into my real name over there. Yeah. So I just kind of watch in the background, but I'm just like, there's so much I could teach you.
You may be surprised to know.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to be sitting here watching this and watching, especially, and it's a community. It's their audience is almost entirely Catholic women. I'm like, there's things you don't know, and probably
they don't want to hear it,
and your husband is never going to tell you.
Yep. Well, not never. I mean, they can,
but
they could talk about it.
Most likely isn't going to tell you, and I'm
not if he's in a condemning house.
Yeah, right. Well, exactly.
You did what?
Yes, right. Exactly. And that's what I think we really, one of the main things we've tried to do here is just open the can a little bit and just let people know how things actually happen and what we're just, we're just telling people how things are and sort of discussing how things ought to be and how, but more so just making it clear, especially for wives, let's say, that may just not understand what's actually going on behind the scenes, and to make it possible more easier for couples to have these kinds of conversations and maybe tackle these problems in a more of a collaborative way, as opposed to a situation where one spouse is not struggling at all, the other spouse is struggling constantly in secret, back and forth to confession. Yeah.
It's not good for the marriage.
Yeah.
If that's what's happening.
Correct. So
at what age did you stop having the stones in your shoe?
Oh.
Sorry to go back to the earlier. I was just thinking about that.
I would say it was for about a year or two when I was like 17, 18, something like that.
I was also a stone in the shoe kind of guy. Only when I get married, though. I did it. Seriously, I did it for my marriage.
Really?
And then, I don't know, I don't have them in my shoes now, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, somewhere along the way.
I like comforts now, so I don't. If there's a stone in my shoe, I'm growling the whole time. I didn't.
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't do it until I was married.
You don't need to bring extra suffering into your life.
Oh gosh, there was a lot of suffering, and for a lot of our marriage, there was a lot of suffering.
Yeah,
but we figured it out.
Yeah, and then look at you now.
Yeah,
just catching up with Pilot.
It's true. Yeah,
so that's great to hear. The true redemption story here.
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty amazing. So
that's awesome.
Can't really.
Yeah,
I don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
And maybe the stones had some small part. I don't know.
Maybe that could be it. Yeah. So maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I just need to go putting rocks in my shoes and kill.
You're beyond that. You're getting beyond that.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see. So next week's I'm out of town for work for a couple of weeks, and so who knows?
Okay.
Every game bets might be off at that point in time, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So,
well, good luck to you.
Yeah, thanks. All right.
All right.
Well, let us know in the comments if you have any strong feelings about that one way or another. Otherwise, we'll catch you next time. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Jonah, as always.
You bet.
And until next time, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good one.